This sounds very clickbaity, but apparently double your frames in Star Citizen with this one simple trick. Thank you for those who reached out and let me know about this thread. If you want to contact me with any kind of possible news or items you want me to cover, shoot me a tweet at Montoya_test on Twitter. I'm always there willing to take your interesting news and tidbits. But yes, I was aware of this thread the other week, as you can see. So the claim is by Goodman AI, modify an Nvidia graphics card settings shader cache option 30 frames per second can experience 60 frames per second in graphics improvements. Really? Let's dig in and see exactly what's happening here. Also, a CIG dev did chime in and give us his thoughts about the matter. So the claim is Nvidia made some changes to the drivers. You can right-click on your Nvidia control panel. You can pop up the settings, and you can make some changes to the cache size. Up here is claiming that making these changes can give you a massive boost in frame rates. Does this work? Well, let's first read about the claims, and we'll dig down the comment section and see what CIG has to say about that. So, a few versions ago, Nvidia graphic driver changed the shader cache settings to on-off, and you can set size. He's saying the default, what people usually use, gives you lag, screen tearing, and transients. If you choose up to 5 gigabytes, not much difference, but the lag will be reduced. If you choose 10 gigabytes in size of cache, it'll be perfect. There'll be a bit of lag or screen tearing, and transients are gone. I guess he's saying there is no lag or screen tearing, and the screen is smooth like a silk stocking. If you choose 100 gigs, there's a memory explosion, obviously. So reading this, I was a bit skeptical at first because cache has a certain size that is used by the game, making it 100 gigabytes. How will that improve things over 1 gigabyte or 2? Very curious. So I was willing to give this a shot and try for myself. Now the problem is everyone has different settings. Not only that, everyone has different computers, but also depends on the server you're on, where you're standing at the time, how busy your server is, how many people or ships are in the area around you. And because this post came out during IAE, and if you watch any of my videos, the coverage I did during the event, you'll see the terrible frame rates because everyone is in one location. There's a lot of ships, there's a lot of polygons in that one location, causing a lot of slowness and jittery frames on my PC anyway. So claims here are that it makes drastic improvements. Now, people are trying this now, going back to Microtech, or they're on Microtech saying, hey, it's amazing, everything's running so smooth, but yes, there's other factors to consider, like how busy the server is, and also all those ships in the showroom are gone now. Maybe things are running a lot smoother for you. So let's dig in. He goes, go to the NVIDIA control panel, manage your 3D settings, and check your shader cache size, change it up to 1 gig or 5 gig or 10 gigs, and see if that makes any difference for you. The feedback he's got so far, vertical sync on fast for many low frame per second players can reduce sluggishness and screen tearing and will not affect performance. Now, I actually tried that. I put my vertical sync on fast. I don't know if it's placebo or maybe the servers are better right now at the moment because it does seem a bit more smooth to me personally with vertical sync on fast. So maybe. He's also reporting that if you've set it to 10 gigabytes, it works better for users with more than 32 gigs of physical memory. But you need to set the best virtual memory to 10 gigs, otherwise the showroom in New Babbage will cause flashbacks. For players with 16 gigabytes of physical memory, that's me, try using 1 or 5. So I don't get this. Is it 1? Is it 5? Is it 10? Now, I've had people contact me telling me 10 gigabytes is amazing. I've had people contact me saying 5 gigabytes has made a huge difference for them. And I've had someone contact me saying, hey, 1 gigabyte has made a massive difference to me. So how is it? What is it? Is it everything? How can it be everything or what? I don't understand. Maybe a CIG dev can drop some more information for us and let us know. So let's drop down to a comment by, where is it? Here we go. A Brown, CIG, dropping a post. Let us know what he says about this. Can you see it? There we go. Thanks for tagging me. This is interesting. We'll get QA to take a look. Default response out of skepticism is the following. First point he wants to make is that changing the behavior of vsync is going to give radical changes to both the frame rate and perceived smoothness of the game. It's not going to make it faster. It's just going to look smoother because of the way it handles the transitions between frames. How the different vsync options affect your experience is massively affected by your individual setup. In particular, time it takes to update the game code, render submission, and to render the frame is too complex to summarize. As a result, people should assess any vsync changes completely separately from other graphics changes. So for me personally, I think vsync did make it look a lot smoother. Results may vary, but here we go into the good stuff. Shaders go through two levels of compilation. The first is taking the HLSL code and compiling it into DirectX shader language assembly. I understood some of those words. The next sentence is the stuff we can understand. We ship a cache of pre-compiled shaders in DirectX assembly with the game, and if extracted, this is currently around 1 gigabyte. So, is changing your cache to 5 or 10 or 100 going to make a difference if all Star Citizen needs is 1 gigabyte? And even that is far larger than what they would like. This is supposed to cover the vast majority of shaders we require for the game. However, it's not guaranteed to cover all required shaders. So it could be more than 1 gigabyte, okay? The required shader list is built by a QA process, so things can sometimes be missed, like old or rare assets nobody has tested for a while. For each shader we compile, the driver is likely to compile multiple because it looks to create optimized bespoke versions of the shader for use in different scenarios, e.g. with different geometry formats or writing different texture formats. The driver's compiled shaders are likely to be similar to our own, but it may compile multiple. Then it's possible we could end up with, say, 2+ gigabytes of driver cache shaders for the entire game. This is good information. So those of you who say you're seeing an improvement with 1 gigabyte, I see no reason why it wouldn't be improved even more with 5. So A. Brown here claiming basically to be safe, 2 gigabytes is what your cache should be at. Anything bigger than that, not necessary. 5 should be just fine. So I'm curious to know why some people say they see better results at 10 or more. He goes on to say, I'd be very surprised if caching of shaders made any difference on runtime performance after the first few minutes of initial loading and streaming. Once they're in, it shouldn't affect anything after that. After this point, we don't expect any shader compiles to take place, and so whether they are cached or not should not change anything. However, Nvidia don't share the internal details of what they might do inside the driver, so we cannot be 100% sure about that. Now, if you want to test this out, pay attention now. Testing the performance gains from modifying the driver shader cache size should not be done in the PU. For the reasons I mentioned, you could be on a busy server, it could be a quiet server. Depends on how many people are around, depends on how many ships are around you, a lot of variables. He says here, because the performance there is frequently limited by the amount of content plays in your vicinity, to do a proper test, you need to load into single player mode, wait for 5 minutes for the shader to stop doing any compilation in the background, then take note of the frame rate, then repeat the process again after changing the cache size. Okay, good advice there. So don't do this in the PU. If you are making changes, go to the single player mode, Arena Commander, or any one of those. Look at your frame rates then and see if it makes a difference after 5 minutes of the cache loading in. I think that's great advice. I didn't get a chance to do that, so if you do it, give me a shout out if you have. Take some screenshots if you can also, and let me know if it makes a difference. He finishes off by saying, if we or Nvidia still need compiling shaders of several minutes on the first load or at every location, then something we'd want to investigate further, saying you shouldn't be loading cache after 5 minutes. We have some early R&D in progress to reduce the number of shaders we use. This is a longer term goal. So even at 1 gigabyte, they want to make it go even lower than that. Now, he did respond again after that with this comment over here saying, just to update, we've not investigated this yet, but the ops follow-up thread gives us a plausible explanation of what appears to be backed up by Nvidia reps and could explain inconsistent results reported in this thread. Inconsistent in that some people are saying it's working great, some people are saying it's not doing anything at all. Here's a guy named Bishop who says he went from 65 frames, he went from 35 to 65, but he does seem to have a monster rig. He mentioned another post somewhere upwards of 128 gigabytes of RAM. Is that what you have? So I don't know if he's a good example of what to expect, but I've seen people post in the thread saying they've got 3070, 3080, 3090s with no difference in performance at all. So working for some may not work for others. I think for me it could be a possible placebo. I'm not really sure. but it seems to be smoother for me. So at present, it seems wise to use the very latest drivers and set this cache to be at least 2 gigabytes. 5 is the setting I went to, seems to be okay. We'll hopefully try to gain a better understanding of this issue soon and give more concrete advice. Ali B. Thank you very much, Ali, for chiming in. And if you want to try this out, here's a link to the thread. I'll post it below there. Give it a shot. Let me know if it's made any difference to you. Before you do try, though, take the readings, take the frames, r_display_info1 is what you got to type in. And take note of your readings in single player mode in Arena Commander. Then make these changes and then report back to me and let me know if it's actually made a difference. Let's see if we can get more information about this. But again, thank you all who notified me about the thread and comments below. Let me know what happens. If you enjoy my content, you know what to do. Thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you in the next one.